Alright, greetings everybody, this is Chris Whiteman with Tethys Interactive, and we thought we'd do a little video here today, a live stream. We're working on the game Astral Terra, and we haven't done any live dev streams in a while. We've been working on a lot of the back end, so there hasn't been a whole lot of interesting stuff to really stream, but this week we've been working, well actually for the last couple of weeks we're working on new AI, and we have a couple of creatures left to rig up, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to share how that's done. So again, if you haven't heard of it before, this is for the game Astral Terra. It's on Steam. Go check it out. It's built on Unity, and right now we're using this new ICE creature control AI system. So ICE creature control, it's an AI system that's been in development for a couple of years now, and we've been kind of watching it and playing with it while it's been being developed, and we're kind of waiting for it to be production ready, I guess, and we're finally at that point. The developer pit is just working on a couple bugs right now, just a few little things, and it's really going to be ready. So we figured it's finally at a point where we could get it into the game. So there's a lot of cool stuff going on. Right now we're just kind of creating simple AI, and then we'll keep building on top of that over the next couple of weeks once we release it, and make things a little bit more in depth. So with that, we'll go ahead and show you this creature I'm working on right now. I've actually got started, and we'll do one more creature after this, but if you're new to Unity or also the ICE creature control AI system, you also might find this video to be helpful. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and dive back in. I've actually already added the ICE creature control script here. A bunch of the customized stuff for Astral Terra to make this work. An animator for the creature. We like to use either humanoid or the generic setup, and then we create an animator here. And then as you can see on the animator, you don't actually have to link any of your animations. Just make sure that your animations are set to loop if they need to loop, and that they're in the right format. So here we've got typical walk, run, two different attacks. I've added the spit and the roar because we might have them spit like some kind of acid or something like that, which we didn't have in the game before. And then death, hit, and another idol. So we'll go back to here. I've already added his material and his textures. We like to use the Uber shader system. I'll let you take a look at that real quick for people who might be interested. So we're using the Uber metallic setup because I thought his scales could kind of be a little bit almost like a dragon, so it has a little bit of metallic properties to the scales. Super awesome shader for Unity that's built off of Unity's standard shader. So it's got lots of awesome stuff, wetness for when it rains, and all kinds of great stuff. But anyway, so there's that. Anyway, here's the creature control system. First thing I've set up is his reaction to getting hit. So a little bit of a problem we run into is if there's an animation for getting hit, there seems to be some kind of a little bit of a conflict when it's time to die and play that animation. He's getting hit, it's trying to play death, it always gets kind of janky. So we went ahead and decided to do away with the hit animation. Instead, we do impact sound and particle effects. So here we have a large blood effect that sprays from his head as he gets hit, and also like a fleshy impact sound, and that of course is tied to our master mixer so that players can turn down the sound effects if they want in the game. So very important to remember to do that step if you're using a mixer in your game, because there's a lot of areas where you add audio. So we've got our defend behavior set up. Behaviors are basically usually a set of rules like animation, effects, audio, a number of different things if you want that your interactors play off of, or your missions and stuff play off of. So for example, when we set up an interaction here, let's go ahead and in fact we'll walk through that now because that's a big part of the AI. So I'm going to add an interactor. This particular creature is going to hunt both players and other creatures like the stag here, right? So let's go ahead and add our first interactor will be the player. Looks like I'm lagging out a little bit here. Just give it a second. There we go. So I'm going to change this to a tag so that we can get a target dynamically. And there we go. So it's going to hunt players. We're going to go ahead and give it a selection range, right? So our range is only going to be about 12 units in front of the creature. So this is how far ahead the creature can see. Then we're going to also add a selection angle. Alright, so at 180 the creature is going to be able to see basically exactly in front of them and all the way around to the sides here. It's half a circle, 180. And we're going to set a priority. We like to set a priority on the target selections because we're also going to have missions, and the missions have priorities as well. So you set the priority to make sure that this is the most important thing he does if this event happens, if the parameters are true. So before we can move on, we also need to turn on a couple things on the creature's status. We want some dynamic vital signs, and we're going to also want to be able to sense stuff so that we turn on the sensoria. And now we've got a field of view. On the inventory because we're going to need to be able to spawn items on death. So I've already set these items up in the system. When we die we spawn loot and also XP. So we've got XP here, and then we're also going to drop some loot here. Alright, we're going to detach. Very important. If you want your players to be able to pick up the item, if you're integrating this into your own system, if you want the players to be able to pick up the item, you need to detach on drop. Go ahead and set an amount and a range, and you're good to go. Now again, these are items that are pre-set up. We're using networking, of course. If you're familiar with our game, it's a multiplayer. So there's a couple extra steps we had to do to get this to work. On these loot and XP items, they have photon views so that they can be network instantiated. So there is that. We're good to go. Looks like we got everything on there. We can go back to interaction now and continue on here. So now we're not going to use a field of view, but we are going to use a visual check here. We need to make sure we can see the player, a visibility check. All right, we don't need the field of view to chase down the player because we've already set selection angle. So we're also going to go ahead and give it some move orders here. This is super important. If you don't want them in a random position, if you're chasing somebody down, you're going to do last known position. And then depending on how large a creature is, you may have to set the stopping distance to be larger than the default of 2. You're calculating the distance between the center registration point here out. So we've already got, I've got a collider on him that's 2.1. that's almost as long as him. So we know that this is at least a unit here. And then our player is going to have about a unit. So initially, let's just say 2.2 is the stopping distance. We're going to ban them from entering that area. That means the creature can't get inside the stopping distance. This is really important if you don't want it to look like everything touches each other as they get close, you know. And so we got that. We're going to put on 3D here. That's going to help us ignore level differences. This is good because our environment is hilly, so that's what we need this for. And then we're also going to set what behavior we want to do this. Remember, we created behaviors over here. This is actually ICE's default behaviors, and all we did was set the animations that we wanted on the animator. So we can select our behavior here. In this case, we want to run, right? So when we look at these settings here, basically what we've got here is we're saying, you know, as I walk around, and if I see somebody 12 units away that's within this range of vision, we're going to go after them, right? So this is just going to run to the target, which in this case is going to be the player, and it's anybody with the player tag. So next we need to set up what the creature is going to do once he gets there. So we're going to go again once again. We're going to say selection range, and now we're saying when you are 2.3 units or closer, go ahead and start this behavior, which in this case is going to, so we want to go ahead and attack this person. Now in this case, we're also going to set the field of view and the visual check, visibility check. We want to make sure that we're facing the target while we attack them. Alright, last thing here we're going to do is we're going to set up an event. Now there's a couple ways we can pass damage. We created a custom damage listener that works with our Eternal system and bridges the gap to the ICE AI system, right? So I'm going to go ahead and put a custom deal here. And this is custom. And we need to send a float. Alright, so what this is a send message. And I've got a script listening for this message, the apply damage. We're going to send a float parameter for the damage. In this case, it's going to keep this low for the moment and keep this damage at only 4. Alright, so now we have an attack. Seek out the player and then attack them when you get in range. Alright, I'm also going to put on a little bit of a retaining timer here, because I want to make sure he keeps attacking the player, even if the player kind of gets a little bit around him or out of the visibility check. I want him to keep trying to attack him at least for a couple seconds before giving up. So we're going to keep a retaining timer of 4 seconds. Alright, so now we have the attack. We're applying the damage through send message. We got the damage. We're ready to go there. Now, we've also set up the attack behavior. Of course, here it is. It's an animation that I've created. That we have on the animator that I put on the creature that you saw earlier. So we're ready to go there. But we might want to, like, say, spice it up a little bit, right? So let's go ahead and add a sound effect so that every time the creature attacks, he makes a sound, or she, whatever it is, makes a sound, right? So got a lot of kind of basic stuff here. Let's go with, I think I have a couple of monster sounds right up in here. Alright, so if we don't like that sound, we can change it later, no big deal. Got to make sure to set the mixer to master, because in our options we can turn down the volume of the game. Alright, so now we have a sound effect that we make whenever we attack. We have the animation set. We've already set the event on the attack interactor, so we have damage being passed. And that's all we really need right there for the moment. So now we have this basic chase down the player if we see him and try to kill him. We need to go ahead and set how many hit points the creature has. So let's go ahead and here into health, and we're going to set this guy at having 40 hit points. Alright. Now he needs a home. And we've set that up. So like the player target, we've set it up to tag and wood. Alright, and we've created a random position around that stopping distance. So basically how this works is when the creature spawns in, if he has nothing else to do and he doesn't see a player right away, or she, whatever, it'll immediately just do this home kind of wander activity here. And this setting here creates a random position around my target. So that's really nice. We've also set our motion and pathfinding here. So we're going to ignore root motion. Instead of internal motion, we're going to use rigid body. We've played around with a couple of things. Internal works pretty decent, but this rigid body seems to work better. So at least for what we needed anyway. So we're going to turn on gravity, default body orientation. We're raycasting to the ground, and we use chunk tag or layer. And here's the thing. Now this is what's kind of really special about ice in our opinion, because it fits our needs. Ice doesn't need nav mesh. If you're familiar with Unity, a lot of things in Unity need nav mesh. AI and NPCs, monsters, whatever. If it's going to navigate an environment, it needs nav mesh. And nav mesh has overhead and it has to be generated and isn't quite really a good solution for procedural generated environments. So this is a big reason why we use ice, is because ice doesn't need nav mesh. We just do raycasting to a layer, and then the creatures scan the ground and move along it like that. So it's kind of pretty beautiful. All we have to do is turn on avoid water. We're not going to do any slope limits for now, and we're not going to allow out of area moves. We don't want that. We want the creatures to stay exactly where we put them. Alright, so we got water handling as default, which means it's going to avoid the water layer. And we've also got structure and trees on obstacle avoidance. So this is supposed to help the creatures avoid running into trees and also running into houses. Our houses are set on the structure layer. Alright, so we're also going to put deadlock prevention on. This is supposed to help it from the creature from just constantly walking into something and getting stuck. We're still kind of learning, tweaking it. It's a tricky thing to get working. So, but it does work. I mean, we can set it to a behavior if I want, and then have the creature do something else, which is fine. Right now, we're just going to go with update and have it try to get a new position. Alright, so there is the motion and pathfinding. Body parts is when we want to set up specifically like things on the body that can damage other things, or that you want to be able to talk to, but I don't need to do that. We don't need that for this creature. And our runtime behavior, we're going to put on culling options. This is beautiful. What this does is it makes it so that creatures, as soon as they get out of 100 units or 200 units from the camera, they are culled and new creatures are spawned. This is something that we don't have currently in our old AI system. So it's really nice. It's going to help with overhead, and we're using a pooling system as well. So it's a big optimization, big upgrade. So that's all we need to do on there. And alright, so now we have our essentials up. We have we're not using environment. We have status all set up with our health and our inventory items and dynamic vital signs. And we have our first interaction. We can interact with the player. and when we interact with them, we're going to attack, and we're going to send a custom message to damage them. Alright, so last thing we want to do is we need to have some kind of base like mission going on, something for the creature to do. And in this case, we're going to set it up to have kind of like a waypoint system where it just kind of travels around within the given culling area. So it's going to run to get to its point, and it's going to walk to patrol. We're going to set a time that it can kind of just chill for a little bit. And when it does that, it's going to do a sense and then walk around some more. Now we need to add some waypoints. So I'm going to add 2. And we're going to go with the tag type of targets, right? So just like the home, we want to just find a random tree. That's all we want to do. We want to find a random tree. We're going to give it a range of 60. It doesn't need to have a selection angle or any of that stuff. I mean, it can, if I don't want it to go behind, I guess I can set the 180, and we'll either find a target to the side or in front of it. So we have, in fact, let's go 270. So it gives a little bit more area to go. Next, we're going to give it a random position. So we're going to set an, in fact, we're going to set an offset pretty far off of that tree so that running into the tree isn't a problem. And then we're also going to tell it to update the position either when it's been reached or when it's the timer is up, because we don't want to just keep doing the same thing over and over again. We want to find another waypoint. So there's the first waypoint. Now we'll set up the second one. Once again, we're going to go with the tag wood. We're going to, oh yeah, there we go. This is one of the things we didn't set yet. I meant to set it earlier. We're actually going to set the range here. I actually typed it in the priority, and the priority is 10. So remember, we set the priority on the player to 40, right? So that makes it so that's higher in the list of things that it will do. This is the lowest item on the list for it to do, besides like going home, is now for it to just wander around this area here with this patrol mission here, right? So once again, selection range, selection angle. We went 60 and 270, so we can get something around it. And we need to give it a random position. Excuse me. And there we go. I'm going to set the timer to 7 to 12 seconds. Alright, so that handles that. We're going to turn 3D and ban on that, or not, just 3D, not ban. And now the creature can wander around, and if it sees a player, it'll attack him if that player is within a certain range. Alright, so now that we have that set up, I'm going to go ahead and disable the creature. We're going to put it into the creature register. The stag is ready to go. We're just kind of tweaking the behaviors right now. And then the last thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to set the stag, or the new creature, in this case Faguana, to start spawning. So we're going to go ahead and set them to be use pooling. Initially, let's just say 4 out of 4. Our spawn interval is 2 to 3 seconds. We are going to do spawn conditions, which makes it that it will keep spawning within this camera distance. It won't spawn outside of this range. And then we're going to actually set the spawn point for now to be the player and give it a range of 20. This makes it so I don't have to keep chasing the creatures down as we test them. We can kind of just spawn them around the camera and do some testing that way. So we've got our we got our spawning set now. They're being pooled. Everything's good to go there. As you can see, I actually have these other ones turned off for the moment. These are all of our the creatures that we've been working on. We went ahead and added a couple new mobs, but most of them are just the existing mobs that we have. Alright, so now that we have that, we can go ahead and roll with the test. So let's go ahead and deselect that, and we're good to go. Let's spawn in and check her out. I have a specific seed that I've been working on, so I have a character saved in a spot. Just keep loading that one up. It's a little bit quicker. Game runs. Well, looks like we're missing something. Yeah. Alright, we might have missed one of the photon, one of the views. Let's take a look at it real quick here. In fact, I think I might know what the problem is. Alright, let's take a look here. Close the creature control. Alright, here's our photon view. So that's all good to go. Transform rigid body. Fey iguana. That's all correct. We have a network view, photon RPC handler. All right. Also, sometimes it helps to just compare to another thing that you have. So let's just see here. We've got all the same stuff. Seems right. Let's try one more thing here. I'm going to go ahead and put it back into the library, reapply to the library in case something weird happened with the prefab. Alright, let's give it a try again. Excuse me. Does seem to be lagging out really bad, so I don't know if something is going on with the network or what's going on here, but might be having an issue with something. Alright. give it a try again. Alright, no errors yet. It looks like it might have, could have possibly just bugged out the prefab. Sometimes that happens when I create a prefab. It bugs out and I need to reapply the changes. So let's take a look around, see if we see him spawning. You can see we got the stag working now. He's walking around the environment. We got blood fiends walking around. I still don't see the new Fey iguana though. He's pretty large too. Let's just check the hierarchy here. Alright, so that's the problem, is it's actually not spawning it anymore, so that's why we're not getting the error. Not too sure what this business is about, but we'll sort it out here. Take a look at the creature. Ah, here we go. We forgot to add the creature back to the register. Now let's just hope that spawns okay. Let's give it a try again. Alright, clearly it does not like something with this photon view. Let's trash it and put a new one on. Alright, here we go. Now we can see the creatures walking around. He's right there. Because there is a network error, he might not be activating. Here we go. Alright, and they're both running at me. Alright. Clearly this blood fiend is damaging me. Ah, looks like I got the Fey iguana as well. Yeah, for whatever reason, I know what it is. Okay, there is a weapon. Yeah, there's a weapon on the Fey iguana's tail, and a photon view is added to it, and it shouldn't have been. Let's see here. We can turn it on, but that's no good. All right, let's remove that, and then that will fix that error. And apparently the creature can attack just fine. It can get damaged just fine. Here we go. Okay, so it looks like there's a couple things we need to do there to tighten that up. But we got them doing the basic stuff, and now it's just a matter of tweaking out the things that are incorrect, right? So we can go in here and real quickly we'll go ahead and fix the weapon I added on his tail. We'll remove this part here. good to go on that. And then the other thing we want to do is on the ice creature, when he dies, he needs to have a remove delay, because he needs to be able to, we need to be able to play the animation, right, of him dying. So we're going to go ahead and put a removing delay of 4. That's why when we killed him, he just disappeared right away. Now another thing is, you'll notice I was damaging him. He was responding from the damage, but blood wasn't flying out. And it's, I don't know if it's a bug or sometimes it's just the thing that I bind it to. So let's just go ahead and give it another bone or something to spawn the blood from. How about the neck? That sounds good. So now it's got a neck to spawn blood from every time I hit him, in theory. Sometimes it doesn't work. So let's go ahead and hit apply on that. We can bring this back down here. I also go ahead and fix this one little thing on the Blood Fiend. If you notice, he kept swinging his axe, and he should have ran to me instead of waiting. So here we're going to set the range for him to stop and attack. See how it's set to 2? That's wrong. So he needs to only attack if he's within 1.1. Now he won't keep standing there swinging his axe until I get 2 units away. Now as soon as I get a little bit far away, he'll run after me and swing that axe. Right? So that's nice. We got that fixed. And let's put this back. Last thing here is the animation was a little bit funky on the attack here. So we've got an attack animation, we've got a speed. Let's take a look at the animator, because maybe we should set this to loop and see how it looks. So we're going to go here, attack. Okay, we're going to go ahead and loop it. So at least he's like still breathing and kind of moving instead of just playing the animation and freezing up. There we go. And we also need to make sure to disable. Okay. We'll do one more little playthrough here so I can kind of show you it working. And then we'll probably go ahead and move on. Alright, multiplayer. Go and hit my seed. And here we go. Now this loads up a lot quicker and the game build instead of the editor. Editor's always slower. I'm also streaming too, just keep that in mind. So it's reducing up the FPS by quite a lot. I get like 100 to 115 FPS right now when we are not in the editor. Alright, so the stag has to be, I have to tweak out the stag too. I think he's got a funny behavior on him. Alright, so as you can see, the lizards are looking around right now. They have found, or the fey iguana, they found their waypoint. And this is what I kind of have them do when they're bored. They just kind of look around. I should probably change that so that they walk, so they'll keep doing something. Alright, so there we go. He just chased me down and now he's attacking. Now you can see the distance is wrong. See, I set the distance too far. See, so I need to set that distance a little bit better. And also, as you can see, we're not getting blood sprays. as we hit the creature, even though we are applying damage. See that? So looks like there's a little bit of some funky action happening there. We'll take a look at that. Here we have the blood fiends. That's exactly what's supposed to happen. Blood should shoot out of their bodies as I hit them with my axe, and when they die, they fall down and then spawn loot and XP. So my inventory is actually full right now, so because I've been doing it. Alright, so that's kind of like the basic kind of setup there of ice. As you can see, the blood fiends work perfect. Sometimes it just takes a couple test runs, you miss little things and stuff. Obviously we got to change the distance on this guy. We need to set him to play the death animation. There's just a couple little things that need to be tweaked and he'll be ready to go. We also got to figure out why that blood isn't shooting out while we hit him, since it does shoot out when we hit these other guys. So the stag we're still working on too, just kind of like I said, just tweaking some of the behavior. Right now I actually don't have the stag set to do much, because I'm trying to kind of play with a couple things. We might have like do a herd type thing where they follow, the one stag identifies like a leader and then they follow that leader or whatever. So you can see it's kind of bugging out right now where you know, I was just hammering that blood fiend and no blood was coming out, and all the hits were legit. I was able to hit him and he died, but no effect played. So I'm not too sure if it's just something that needs to be tweaked in ice or if it's a bug. That's something I'll talk to the developer about. Anyway, that's it for now. We just wanted to kind of give you a little sneak kind of peek into what we've been working on. We've been pushing out updates regularly on the game. Now that we have, now that Ice Creature Control AI is about done and it's production ready. It's something that we've been wanting to integrate into the game for a long time now. So we figured it was finally a good time to do that. It's really optimized. It's going to be nice because, as you can see, I've got a lot more mobs on the terrain right now than I do in the live version of the game with the old AI. And the very nice thing is that I'll be able to constantly keep mobs within a range of the players as they travel through the procedurally generated environment, and they shouldn't ever really be stuck in these areas anymore where there's nothing to, there's no enemies or animals to engage with. So because obviously you need those materials and the XP from those creatures and stuff. So the next thing we'll be doing after finishing with these wiring up the last of the AI agents is there's another update to the core AI package coming to us, and after that we'll be able to now set certain creatures to spawn only specifically in certain areas. It's in the past we've been able to tie creatures to biomes but not necessarily to an area. So one of the things we want to do is, of course, we want to get grotinoids set up so that they only spawn in caves. We want to get blood fiends spawning only at night. A couple things like that, So anywho, we'll go ahead and keep cranking away at this, get it all ready, and there'll be a patch out soon with this new AI, and you guys can enjoy. Also, if you're working on Ice Creature Control and you're integrating into your own game or learning it in Unity, it's a really great system. It's pretty complex, comes the ability to wire up some pretty in-depth behaviors and stuff. So, but it takes time. You really got to play with it and see what works and what doesn't, and sometimes you just got to rethink how you want to do something. But besides that, we really like it, and looking forward to finishing it and getting in the game. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll have a great one, and we'll talk to you again real soon.